Hey, soccer fans. This is Nick here with the Feed the Fire podcast and the Glass House Soccer YouTube channel. And today we are taking a look at the MLS All-Star game voting and who is leading the way. We are also here with my kids who have been to a number of Chicago Fire matches this season and who are going to give their Chicago Fire picks for the All-Star team. I want to remind everyone, make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, share the link, share the show, share the channel, do all that great stuff to help us continue to grow the show and grow the conversation around Chicago Fire and Major League Soccer. So, a little background on the All-Star game, and then we'll dive right into my daughter's predictions here.
Mm-hmm.
This year's All-Star game is on Wednesday, July 23rd at Austin FC's Q2 Stadium. Kicks off at 8 p.m. Central Time on MLS Season Pass. The voting for the All-Star, the fan voting for the All-Star team has closed. 26 players will be selected for the All-Star game, 12 by the fan vote, 12 by head coach Nico Estevez of the host club Austin FC, and 2 players selected by MLS Commissioner Don Garber. And as we've seen in years past, Garber will pick either a popular name that maybe it doesn't getting the votes, or he may give it to kind of like a lifetime achievement award kind of a player, as we saw when Kai Kamara was selected a couple of years back.
Was?
Yeah, Kai Kamara was selected. I don't think he was with the Fire. I think it was right after he left the Fire.
Oh.
So, real quickly, the details on it. Let's see. Players who did not qualify for the ballot are still eligible by the coach or commissioner selection, but in order to qualify for the ballot, you must have had appearances in at least 50% of the club matches this season when the ballot was created. It looks like they're playing a 4-3-3 or a 4-1-2-3, depending on how you want to look at it and how Estevez is going to break it down. And then once the team is selected, voting will open for the captain, and those votes will be in by July 3rd. So before we get into our picks, and I'm here with my daughter, Eleni, and before we get into our picks, let's take a look at who is leading the way as of June 9th. Now, this is reported by MLS Soccer staff, MLSsoccer.com staff. So who is leading the voting in each positional category? So for goalkeeper, you've got Dane St. Clair, Pedro Gallese, Martin Paz, Carlos Cornell, and Yohei Takaoka. So your top 5 keepers right now by the votes are Minnesota, Orlando, Dallas, Red Bulls, and Vancouver. As far as the center back goes, Tristan Blackman of Vancouver leading the way, then Michael Boxall, Minnesota, Jacob Glesnes, Philadelphia, Miles Robinson, Cincinnati, and Lalas Abubakar of FC Dallas. So those are your center backs. Tight competition there. Right back, Alex Freeman, Orlando, Andy Nahar, Nashville, Mo Farsi, Columbus, Griffin Dorsey, Houston, and Alex Roldan, Seattle. Now, let's just take a look at kind of these first 3 categories here. For me, there's a lot of good goalkeeping in Major League Soccer, and obviously I'm going to take a little bit of the homer side here and think Chris Brady should be getting a little bit more respect than he does when it comes to these kind of things. Yeah,
True.
we didn't even see him get even though he got called in as an injury replacement, doesn't look like he's getting any minutes with the men's national team right now. But for someone who's faced so many shots and someone who has completely changed his game, not completely, but improved his game to be able to play with his feet out of the back more, I think he should be getting a little bit more recognition. And again, from a hometown perspective, Eleni, would you agree with me that because the Chicago Fire haven't been very good, people aren't really voting for Fire players, even if they have a good season?
True.
Yeah.
True. I like Chris Brady like a lot.
Yeah. Is he your favorite player on the Chicago Fire?
I would say it's between like Brady and Gutierrez. They're just like my. Oh, those are from the Chicago Fire players. Like those are like kind of popular to me.
Okay. Good choices. The homegrown guys, the young guys.
Uh-huh.
So it's hard to kind of nitpick what's going on here with the goalkeeping. I think there's a lot of players that can get a shout, and I'd love to see the vote tallies and see how close it is. As far as the center back position, we've got 3 guys in the Western Conference, so I'm not too familiar. We all know how good of a center back Tristan Blackman is and how good Michael Boxall can be. So those really don't surprise me, especially with those 2 teams where they're at in the standings. Of course, Philadelphia being on top of the East, really does help Jakub Lesnis's case, and Miles Robinson does have the name recognition as well. Lalas Abubakar is an interesting name. I haven't looked at his stats, and I haven't watched Dallas play all that much, but that's an interesting one, considering where Dallas is right now in the standings. Dallas is sitting in 10th place. They have allowed 28 goals, which is tied for fourth worst in the Western Conference. So
Yikes.
Dallas not really known for their defense here, but Lalas Abubakar getting some love in the All-Star ballot voting. Now let's take a look. Oh, and then as far as the right backs, we've got Alex Freeman leading the way with his recent call-up. Definitely in form. Andy Nahar playing for a very good Nashville team. And then other kind of the quote-unquote household names, Mo Farsi, Griffin Dorsey, Alex Roldan. Our left back leaders right now, no surprise here, Jordi Alba at Inter Miami, Kai Wagner with Philadelphia, Max Arfston, Columbus, Ryan Hollingshead, LAFC, and Daniel Lovitz over in Nashville. Again, these are a lot of common MLS names with Max Arfston kind of breaking into it. Daniel Lovitz, a guy who I liked to make fun of on the national team level back when I was doing the Sons of a Pitch show several years back with my co-host Mike. But the guy's been nothing but a solid MLS player at worst for Nashville SC.
The only one I know on there is Jordi Alba.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that because you're a huge Barcelona fan? Or is it just because your brother talks about Inter Miami all the time?
Brother.
Yeah, definitely. But Jordi Alba's having an okay season from what I would suspect. If we look at the standings again in the Eastern Conference as far as kind of goals allowed, Miami is kind of middle of the pack. They've allowed 27 goals. Actually, Miami is 6th worst as far as goals allowed. So not the best defense performance for Miami, but we know it's their offense that has got them the wins. They have the most goals scored in MLS so far this season with 36. So that's what's powering them. Yes. Now looking in the midfield, they have a defensive midfield attack and two attacking midfield positions. So it looks like they'll take the top two out of this group of five. So the D-mids, Sebastian Berhalter, Vancouver, Sergio Busquets, Inter Miami, Jeppe Zverkov, San Diego FC. That's a name I'm going to have to learn how to pronounce better. Darlington Nagbe of the Crew and Artur of the Houston Dynamo. For attacking midfielders, we've got Evander of Cincinnati, Diego Luna, RSL, Christian Espinoza, San Jose, Lucho Acosta, Dallas, and Pep Biel, Charlotte. The D-mids, I think Busquets is getting a little bit more credit because of his name and the team he plays on. Zverkov for San Diego. I haven't watched a lot of their matches. I'm really excited to see them when they come to Chicago. I think that'll be a great matchup.
When is that?
That is, I don't know, when is that? That's coming up. It's coming up soon. It's a summer matchup, so that'll be nice. Let's pull up the schedule here and take a look, Eleni, since you brought it up. Chicago's playing San Diego on July 12th, so in just under a month.
Are we going?
I think so. I think that's our family game. We'll all be there.
Oh yeah, because it does say Soldier Field.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm really interested to see Philip Zinckernagel and Anders Dreyer on the field at the same time. Back in the offseason, there were rumors, and I think it had been confirmed even, that the Chicago Fire were interested in Anders Dreyer as well as Philip Zinckernagel, and Dryers went to San Diego, and the Fire signed Philip Zinckernagel. Now, not to say I am not thrilled with Philip Zinckernagel, but it would be interesting to see the two of them match up and see if there's a little bit of an edge to them, knowing that those were kind of the two targets at the time. But yeah, as far as the D-mids go, Berhalter absolutely deserving. He earned himself a national team call-up. I think Nagbe and the Crew are still playing a very, very good brand of soccer here, sitting fourth in the Eastern Conference. So it's no surprise to see, like any sport in an all-star voting, kind of these star names, these routine all-star names like Nagbe, like Artur are there. As far as the attacking midfield, it's hard to argue with Diego Luna, hard to argue with Vander, hard to argue with Biel of Charlotte. He's kind of been their offensive player. He's tailed off a little bit, but we know Charlotte has a great fan base for the voting. I'm surprised Lucho Acosta is on here for Dallas. As we mentioned, their place in the standings and kind of how he's had a subpar performance. But when you're an MVP a few years back, even if you drop off a little, you can still be a very effective player. So I think these attacking midfields, without going through the entire roster of MLS eligible players, it's hard to say no to any of those five. Now, our top five forwards and wingers.
Obviously, we have Leo Messi.
Obviously, folks, the number one vote getter. Number two, Ty Baribo of the Union, leading the Golden Boot standing still, I believe. Brian White with Vancouver, Denny Bouanga, LAFC, and the aforementioned Anders Dreyer in San Diego. So that is who is leading the MLS All-Star fan vote. There's going to be 12 players out of that list selected, and this tally was as of June 9th. The ballots closed June 11th, so we will hopefully be getting an announcement on all of this very soon. So, Eleni, I'm going to ask you now. We've looked at all the players who have been selected by the fans, but I want to hear from you. I want you to pick 3 Chicago Fire players who you think could be on this All-Star team or should be on this All-Star team, or if you were the coach, who would you pick from the Fire to put on your team?
I mean, I already said I really like Brady, so I do think he should deserve to be on the All-Star team. I really like Gutierrez and stuff. And then, as a lot of people are saying, Zinckernagel is really good too. Then we have Cuypers as well. So I think those are the people who should deserve to be on the All-Star team.
So if you're the coach, if you're Nico Estevez, the coach, you would really,
know who that is.
He's Austin's coach. You would really, you sounds like you're going for offense here with Gutierrez, Zinckernagel, and Cuypers. Obviously, Brady's the goalkeeper there, but you want to see a little more offense and a little more creativity.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think that's a great idea. Fans want to see the excitement. So just to remind everyone, Hugo Cuypers at this point has 10 goals and 2 assists on the season. Still on the leaderboard for the Golden Boot, but not near the top as he was earlier on in the season. Zinckernagel has 7 goals, 7 assists on the season, and Brian Gutierrez 6 goals, 1 assist on the season. So they are definitely guys who have been putting up stats. The one thing I'd like to see more from Gutierrez from a statistical standpoint would be key passes. Right now, Zinckernagel at 32 key passes, leading the team in that category. And a key pass is something that would lead to a shot or a goal or an assist, something like that. So it really counts your contribution to the buildup of an offensive action. So Zinckernagel leads the team with 32. Then it's Bamba with 27. Then Gutierrez with 20. So I'd like to see him get a little bit more involved in the offense. Obviously, these are raw numbers, and he missed 2 games from red card suspensions. So that is also hurting his pure statistics and potentially his chances in the eyes of some of the voters. So, Eleni, Cuypers, Zinckernagel, Gutierrez, Brady, those would be some of your Chicago Fire All-Star selections. Anything else that you want to say about the Chicago Fire players and their season so far?
Not really, because I don't really watch a lot of the games. But just I hope that maybe some Chicago Fire players get on the All-Star team, but I doubt that's likely because, as we just looked, none of these Chicago Fire players are on the top 5 of any of the categories. But I really hope one of them gets on.
I think their best chance is getting picked by Coach Nico Estevez.
Yeah.
All right, Eleni, thank you so much. Listeners, we're going to pause for a quick second, and we're going to bring in my next child to talk about who they think should be on the All-Star roster from Chicago. So I'll be right back in a quick second. Fans and listeners, we are back now with my son, Alexander. Again, we are looking at the All-Star ballot for 2025 Major League Soccer and talking about our favorite Chicago Fire players who might have a shot to make the roster. Hey, Alexander, how are you?
Good.
He's just so happy to be watching himself on the screen right now. Alexander, we were at the Nashville SC game over the weekend. Did you have a good time watching the Fire play?
Yes.
And who's your favorite soccer player? Messi? Why is Messi your favorite soccer player?
Because he's the GOAT.
Because he's the GOAT. That's a good reason. Make sure you speak loud so everybody can hear you, okay?
Fine.
All right. Now, who's your favorite player on the Chicago Fire? It's a tough one. There's a lot of good players that we cheer for. Who's your favorite?
I have two favorites.
Oh, say it loud. Who are your two favorites?
I forgot the goalkeeper, and I think I forgot both of them.
You forgot both of their names, even though they're your favorite player?
Yeah.
Is it Chris Brady and Brian Gutierrez?
Yes.
Those are your two favorites. Awesome. Good choices. Homegrown guys from the Chicago area. And remember, you got to meet them 2 years ago, right? Remember, you got to see them at a fan event when we got our season tickets? It was really nice of them to shake your hand and sign your scarf, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. So, do you think Chris Brady and Brian Gutierrez should be on the All-Star team?
How much, players do you get to put on?
So, the fan vote gets 12 players, and the coach gets to pick 12 more, and then the head of the league, the commissioner, he picks 2 more players. So, do you think the coach should pick any of the Chicago Fire players?
No, I think I should. We should put Guti.
You should put Guti on the All-Star team?
Yes.
I think that's a very good pick.
And
Is it?
the Messi.
Oh, and Messi? Well, I think Messi's going to get voted on. I think that'll be no problem there for him. Is there anyone else on the Chicago Fire that you would want to put on the team? Maybe Hugo Cuypers, maybe Joe Bamba, maybe Zinckernagel, who just got married, by the way. I know relationship stuff is still so funny to you at a young age. Anyone else that we should put on the roster, or just Guti?
Guti.
Just Guti. All right. Is there anything else you want to say about the Chicago Fire? No. No?
Boo.
Boo? Yes, the Fire are scaring their opponents. That's right. Let's say boo.
Last time we went to the game, you said go Fire, and they lost.
I know. They did lose to Nashville 2-0.
Nashville, go Nashville.
Well, we're going to go to the San Diego game in July. Do you think they can beat San Diego?
What, San Diego?
Yeah.
Are they going to beat Nashville? Nashville's playing them?
No, Chicago's playing San Diego.
I think Chicago should win.
Yeah, I agree. Chicago should win that one.
Chicago is better than them, but if it was done Nashville, that would be better.
All right, Alexander, thank you so much for letting us know your thoughts on the Chicago Fire and the All-Star chances that their players have. And yeah, I'm sure you guys can see or hear us at that San Diego match in section 205. Let me pause one more time as I bring on my final child, my third child here, who has made some appearances on the show in the past, and we'll get his All-Star takes as well. So another quick pause. All right, fans, we are back again with my final child here. Though the middle one in birth order, this is my son, Teddy. We are talking about Chicago Fire All-Star chances in the All-Star game, though you will notice who my son is supporting, obviously, in the Club World Cup here with his PSG jersey on. He was very happy to hear. What was the score against Atletico?
4-0.
4-0? Yeah, very happy to hear that in the
5-0
first game.
against... Was it Vancouver?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. I haven't been that closely paying attention to Club World Cup.
No,
kind of checking stuff after the fact.
Club World Cup.
No?
5-0 in the...
Oh, Champions League?
No, yeah.
All right, well, we're here to talk about the Fire and their all-star chances. So, Teddy, let me ask you a couple basic questions here. Who's your favorite soccer player right now? Anywhere in the world. Who's your favorite soccer player?
I don't know.
You don't know? It's not the guy whose poster you have hanging in your room? No? Not Messi?
No.
Okay, well, tell me, who's your favorite player on the Chicago Fire?
It's either Hugo Cuypers or maybe Jonathan Bamba.
Cuypers or Bamba? All right, make sure you speak up because everyone wants to hear what you have to say.
What?
So, okay, who do you think from the Chicago Fire should be on the All-Star team? You know, I previewed the people who are getting votes now. No Chicago Fire player is in the top 5 of the votes. But who do you think, if you were the head coach and got to pick your own team, who would you pick from the Chicago Fire to be in the All-Star game?
Cuypers.
Cuypers? Why would you pick Hugo Cuypers?
He's in the top 5 of the Golden Boot.
so far was at the top, then dropped down to second. Hasn't scoring goals a lot, but he's still in the top of the Golden Boot. And if you're playing the League MLS All-Stars from last year, you know they can score. So you want somebody who can also score.
That's awesome. And I think the one thing I've said in the show a lot of the time is Cuypers' work rate. The man will run and run and run and play his hardest his
But
entire shift.
sometimes can't play full 90 minutes.
Right. So who else from the Chicago Fire do you think should be on the All-Star roster?
I actually don't know.
So let's take a look at from the back to front. What about Chris Brady? You think he's got a shot?
No, there's no way.
No, you don't think Brady has any shot.
No,
Let's go over. You weren't here when I went over the current goalkeepers here. Dane St. Clair, Pedro Gaese, Martin Paz, Carlos Cornell, or Yohei Takaoka. Do you think Brady's better than any of those guys?
No, for the Yohei Taka, whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it. I think he should. Vancouver's in the top of the West, the Western Conference, and that means that means they have a good shot.
Yeah, actually, Vancouver is sitting atop 2 points over San Diego right now with a game in hand, so good position for Vancouver to be in. Okay, so Takaoka, you think is a solid shot. He should be there. But Chris Brady is not going to be in your top 5.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so looking at the defenders, though, who from Chicago do you think has a shot as a defender to make the All-Star game?
Maybe Andrew Gutman.
You think so?
I think Gutman.
So Gutman has 2 goals and 6 assists on the season to match up with 13 key passes as well. So
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, only 3 yellow cards as well on the season. Let's take a look at some of his defensive stats here. Where is Gutman? So he's got 47 aerial duels,
that's actually pretty good.
One of the top on the team. Looks like about 3rd on the team, actually, for number of aerial duels that he's been involved in. And as far as clearances, he's got 21 clearances, and intercepted passes. Doesn't look like they're keeping really good stats on that because he doesn't have any intercepted passes. It's just Brady and Gall. Oh, maybe it's intercepted crosses. Those are the only 2 that have any statistics on MLSsoccer.com. So Gutman definitely has a shout to be the Fire's best defender on the season right now. Do you think?
Also, how he can score from long distances. And
we've seen traditionally that attacking defenders who get on the score sheet, will get more votes or get more consideration, I think, from the fans. And Gutman started all 17 games this year. Like we said, 2 goals. What's his XG rating, though? 1.9, so he's right there on his expected goals. 3 headers as well that were turned on frame. 5 other shots on target. So he definitely is a very, very good 2-way player for the Fire and has made a case to be considered for the All-Star ballot. I think it would be great to see him playing over, maybe. I mean, we looked at the list. There's some solid left backs there.
Max Arston.
But to see him playing above Max Arston, potentially Ryan Hollingshead, even though LAFC's having a good year and Hollingshead's having a good year, maybe it's hard to put him over Kai Wagner and Daniel Lovitz too. And of course, the fans are going to rave for Jordi Alba. And if you really think about it, is Andrew Gutman better than Jordi Alba? That's just a wild question to ask.
No, there's no way.
But is he having
Barcelona, Miami?
But is he having a better season though? Like that's what we got to look at as far as All-Star goes.
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, so that's the Andrew Gutman discussion. Not bad. Who we talked about Cuypers. Who else from the Chicago Fire would you put on your All-Star roster?
Maybe Bamba.
Okay.
He had the first 2 assists. Great.
Here, let's take a look at Bamba's stats. 3 goals. And let me get back to our main page here. Bamba has 3 goals, 7 assists on the season.
To start off the season, 2 games, 4 assists to Cuypers and Gutierrez. They both got braces in those games.
Yeah.
And then you score in the 71st minute against Nashville to make it 7-2, and then I can't remember what he scores again.
Yeah, I don't know if Bamba had a goal in that Nashville game, but
he did.
Okay.
With Zinckernagel and Bamba.
Great. Zinckernagel and Bamba. Okay. Maybe I don't know if he had the second one. Anyway, that's a game that we don't need to revisit too much, especially after the Fire lost again to Nashville 2-0 over the weekend. But yeah, I think Bamba is one of the best wingers in the league. But is he better than? Let's go back down to this winger roster that they have here: Messi, Baribo, Brian White, Denny Bouanga, Anders Dreyer.
No.
Do you think
no,
Bamba is better than
no,
any of those five?
No. I say no.
You are very confident in that opinion.
I say no. I say no. I say no. They have Ty Baribo, and Brian White. Okay, yes, you add those to your All-Star. Anders Dreyer, he's the best player for San Diego.
You think so?
Bouanga has been the best goal scorer for LAFC for the last 2 years. And then for putting Leo Messi, hasn't scored a lot of goals, but he still has assists.
Actually, Messi has scored a decent amount of goals this season. I forget his exact number.
And has a decent amount of assists.
Yeah, I think he has the highest combined goals and assists for the league at this point. So, hang on. Let's also talk about the other winger for the Chicago Fire, Philip Zinckernagel.
Yes. 7 goals this year.
Do you think Zinckernagel is better than Brian White, Bouanga, Dreyer?
No.
I mean, I know White and Baribo play a different position.
No.
No?
No.
But
I'm slapping down no.
So
there's no way. There is no way.
Let's put another question to you. So the fans vote in 12 players, and the coach gets to pick 12 players. So if for the forward winger, if it's Messi, Baribo, and say Dreyer, because if Messi's going to play, say, a forward, like if he plays him as a false nine, I don't know. You've got Baribo as your true striker, and then Dreyer as a winger.
But do you
think the coach picks Brian White, Denny Bouanga, and Zinckernagel as the 3 backups?
Nah, I say Cuypers instead of Zinckernagel as the backups. But who's gonna be the center midfielder?
Let's take a look at our attacking midfielders here.
No, 1 second. Go back down.
All right, go ahead.
But we're gonna need. Why are we putting Baribo and Dreyer? Why are we putting? Then we should. I think we should put either Brian White and Anders Dreyer on the wings. But then if we go to and then we put like Diego Luna or Acosta in the center, and then we have the 2 striker, and then we put in Baribo and Bouanga as the 2 strikers.
Okay. Well, Bouanga does play a little bit more on the wing, but he could be used as a striker.
Yeah, or we could switch Bamba out with Brian
So let's get back to the midfield then, because as far as Chicago Fire goes, if we're looking just for an out and out striker, it's Hugo Cuypers or no one else to make the All-Star team.
Nope.
But if we're looking at midfielders, I wonder if they would ever consider Zinckernagel as a midfielder.
No.
We saw him play a little bit at the 10 against DC United in a rout.
I know we see him, but he's not better than Evander, Luna, Espinoza, Acosta.
Really? What about Pep Biel for Charlotte? Do you think would you rather have Philip Zinckernagel? Would you rather have Jonathan Bamba, or would you rather have Pep Biel? I know.
Is Adjiman either a winger or is he a midfielder?
Adjiman would be a forward/winger for the All-Star ballots.
Well, we could put him in the attacking field. It still counts as
well, he would definitely be a coach's pick at that point, I think. I don't think Adjiman is on the midfield ballot. So, all right. So there's no one on the Chicago Fire that you think would be above the current vote leaders, but you think that the coach should be able to pick.
D-mid. So D-mid, we have Berhalter, Busquets, I don't know.
Yep.
Nagby and Arthur.
Yeah. So
I don't know who's 3.
Jep Zverkov from San Diego. So do you think, would you
I get why they put San Diego, Columbus, Miami, and Vancouver top teams.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Arthur used to play for the Crew, so he's been around the league for a while. I think he's got some good name recognition. I think he's a solid player.
He is a solid player. He's been good for the Dynamo. But
do you think? Hang on, stick with the D-mid. Let's not bounce around too much here. So, of the 5 guys that you just read, would you rather have those 5 guys or Mauricio Pineda, Sergio Orahel, Kellen Acosta?
No.
You'd stick with the 5 that are
I'd
listed?
stick with these 5, but I don't know about Arthur.
Okay. Yeah, he's a question mark. All right, now we've already talked defense, we've talked midfield, we've talked striker, we've talked goalie. So Teddy,
No, actually, I want to see the right backs.
the right
I
backs?
mean the center backs.
Okay, center backs. Yeah. Would you
Blackman.
Boxall, Glesnes, Robinson, and Abubakar? Would
Okay,
you
I
rather
think
have
Robinson, he plays the USMNT. They won a match 5-0.
I don't think Robinson was part of that roster though. I'd have to go back and check.
Well, I get they put Vancouver and Minnesota in there. But you have the Vancouver and Minnesota goalie. But then you put FC Dallas because their goalie's on here and Sam. Like if you have like a team that's say Vancouver, that means you probably have a Vancouver left back, but you don't.
No, this is the current list. You never know who the coach is going to pick. But here's what I want to ask you because we're running out of time for the show. So if you could pick, if you were the coach of the All-Star team and you had to pick one player from the Chicago Fire to put on the team, who would it be?
Cuypers.
That was a very quick answer. All right, Teddy, thank you for your thoughts on that. Let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Let's just remind everyone that Liga MX did unveil their first 14 players for this game. Their 2 goalkeepers they've released so far, Luis Malagon and Kevin Mier from America and Cruz Azul. Defenders, Willard Ditta, Jesus Gallardo, Joaquim Pereira, Carlos Rotondi of Cruz Azul, Toluca, Tigres, and Cruz Azul again.
There's a lot of Cruz Azul players from that smoking 5-0 Vancouver.
Yeah. So the midfielders that they've announced so far, Hugo Cuypers of Chivas, Sergio Canales of Monterrey, Eric Lira of Cruz Azul, Gilberto Mora Tijuana, Agustin Palavicino Necaxa, Alexis Vega Toluca, and their forwards, Henry Martin from America and Paulinho of Toluca. So nice to see a variety of teams represented there. Nice to see like Tijuana, Necaxa, Toluca all get players voted on, that it's not just taking their big guys there. Any other notes that I want to remind you of? Yes, remember the captain voting opens July 3rd. So go ahead and log in to MLSsoccer.com and make sure you vote on the captain that you want.
Captain's voting.
So of the players who are selected by the fans then get to vote on the one player to be the captain of the team for that game.
Let me see the players that are
Well, they haven't announced it yet, Teddy, and we got to wrap this show up. We are over time.
I maybe think Tabarebo should be the captain.
You think so? I think it's going to end up being Messi just because it's Messi, but for whatever that's worth. All right, fans, once again, I'm going to remind you to like, subscribe, rate, review, share the link, share the show. Say thanks once again.
For a cookie.
Subscribe for a cookie. I will not be handing out cookies, so don't make those promises.
Are you going to the All-Star game?
No, it's in Austin. We're not going to the All-Star game. Also, a reminder to support our sponsor, Skira Icelandic Spring Water, by going out to the local 7-Eleven. Yep, Teddy knows. Teddy's seen it. And with that, we will say thank you all for tuning in and listening. Thank you to my kids, Eleni, Alexander, and Teddy, for their thoughts. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Go PSG.
Go Fire.